Right. So, as a quick follow up, I am very interested for some reason to know what was a project that you did when you were a student at Stanford that you're very proud of today? And what's a product or a project that you envisioned when you were a student but didn't quite execute and you were like, man, if I did that, that would have been like really cool. So, do you have any in either categories?
Certainly. So there were a variety of products and projects that I made. I remember one of them that took a lot of work, but I think turned out really well, was a project around designing an interface for a thermostat. And in terms of the interface for a thermostat, in many ways, you could argue that it was prescient of sort of the way that Apple would come to approach things. And of course, we used Macintoshes for the most part at Stanford. So there was Apple inspiration along the way. And IDEO did a lot of work with Apple as well. And the thing about my particular thermostat is it took advantage of the basic form. So the thermostat is typically a square or a rectangle. And nowadays we have like Nests, we have things that are circular. But what I had created was actually a thermostat that was a square tipped on its side to be a diamond. And what I did is I took the corners of the square, the top and the bottom and the sides, and made them into buttons because it just seemed to me like that was the natural flow of the interface, right? Instead of having these little tiny buttons that you're pushing, just have these giant buttons that are very clearly up, down, left, and right, just by the nature and orientation of the shape itself. And so I was very proud of that innovation. I still haven't seen people do it, maybe because it's hard to install a diamond because it's easier to get it out of alignment. It's harder to measure and all that. But I thought that that was a really cool design. Now, something which I did not manage to execute on, it was just a concept, was the following. I, being somebody who was a part of the creative writing department, a part of the product design department, felt that self expression was very important and that most people in the world at that time didn't have a means of self expression. Right? It was like, how do I actually create something that other people will see, that other people will react to? What can I do to make this happen? And I didn't put two and two together because, again, it was in the context of the product design department. I was thinking of physical products. I'm like, I went down this path of, is there some new form of art or expression that I can create that people could do that would be relatively simple, but which other people could give feedback on, and that would allow them to feel the same kind of great feelings I get from designing, from building, from creating, from writing, and so on, but make it a lot easier. And what I didn't realize is that I should have combined that with my belief in the burgeoning rise of the internet and created Web 2.0, right? User generated content and comments and self expression writ large. And so, in many ways, I've often had this great regret. But of course, having the idea and actually executing are two different things altogether. And probably, by the way, the world of the internet would not have been ready for it in 1995, as it were. It was only ready for it, 7 or 8 years later. So it was prescient, but it probably was not something I can greatly regret because it's not like there was a pathway for me to, have become the father of Web 2.0. But I always think about that.